The Gospel of Pope Honorius. The Gospel of Pope Honorius, also known as the Grimoire of Pope Honorius, is a notorious grimoire attributed to Pope Honorius III, who reigned from 1216 to 1227. The Gospel of Pope Honorius is unique in its attempt to merge Christianity with magic. It contains a series of prayers, exorcisms, and invocations that are ostensibly Christian in nature but are used for magical purposes. The rituals often invoke the names of God, Jesus Christ, and various angels, alongside more traditional magical incantations. This blending of Christian elements with occult practices is one of the defining features of the grimoire. The book is primarily a manual for performing various magical operations, including summoning and commanding spirits, exorcising demons, and gaining supernatural knowledge and power. It includes instructions for creating magical tools, performing rituals, and invoking divine and angelic assistance for protection and guidance. The text positions itself as a powerful resource for clergy and laypeople alike to harness spiritual power for practical and protective purposes. The Gospel of Pope Honorius faced significant opposition and condemnation from the Church due to its content, which many considered blasphemous and heretical. The book's integration of magical practices with Christian rites was seen as a perversion of the faith, and its use could lead to accusations of heresy and witchcraft. The claims of papal authorship further exacerbated the controversy, as it implied that a high-ranking church authority endorsed these magical practices. The book's claim of being written by Pope Honorius III is generally regarded as a pseudonymous effort to lend credibility and authority to its contents. By attributing the text to a pope, the authors aimed to legitimize the practice of magic within a Christian framework, suggesting that such knowledge was divinely sanctioned. However, historical evidence strongly suggests that the actual Pope Honorius III had no connection to the grimoire. The Gospel of Pope Honorius is a notable example of how magical and religious traditions can intersect and influence each other. By incorporating Christian prayers, saints, and divine names into its rituals, the book creates a unique fusion of faith and magic. The Book of Abramelin. The Book of Abramelin is a famous grimoire and mystical text attributed to the Abraham von Worms, a Jewish mage and scholar believed to have lived in the 14th or 15th century. The text is presented as a letter from Abraham to his son, detailing his journey to Egypt and his discovery of the magical knowledge imparted by the mage Abramelin. The book was written around the early 15th century and is structured in 3 parts. The central focus is on a complex and rigorous magical system that culminates in contacting one's holy guardian angel, a spiritual entity meant to provide divine guidance and protection. The text describes the holy guardian angel as a divine guide who can grant wisdom and knowledge. Once this connection is established, the magician can also summon and bind various demons, compelling them to perform tasks. This duality of angelic guidance and demonic servitude is a significant theme in the grimoire. The Book of Abramelin has faced various challenges and controversies over the centuries. Its ritualistic and magical content led to its suppression by religious authorities who viewed it as heretical and dangerous. The demanding nature of the Abramelin operation also meant that it was accessible only to a dedicated few, further shrouding it in mystery. The Book of the Law, also known as Liber Alabama Vel Legis, is a central text in the religious philosophy of Thelema. It was written by the British occultist Aleister Crowley in 1904. The book is said to have been dictated to Crowley by a non-corporeal entity named Aiwass, who is described as a messenger of the Egyptian god Horus. One of the most distinctive features of the Book of the Law is its claim of divine dictation. According to Crowley, Aiwass communicated the text over 3 days in April 1904, while he and his wife, Rose Edith Kelly, were staying in Cairo. Crowley described Aiwass as his holy guardian angel and an emissary of the gods. The book consists of 3 chapters, each supposedly dictated on one of the 3 consecutive days. It outlines the core tenets of Thelema, a new religious movement founded by Crowley. The central theme of Thelema is encapsulated in the phrase, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." This statement is interpreted to mean that individuals should seek and follow their true will, which is a higher purpose or path aligned with the divine order. The book also introduces several key concepts and deities of Thelema, including Nuit, Hedit, and Ra-Hor-Khut, representing different aspects of the universe and consciousness. Nuit is the infinite sky goddess, Hedit is the point of view and experience, and Ra-Hor-Khut is the child god representing a new era. The Book of the Law has been a source of significant controversy since its publication. Its radical ideas about individual will, morality, and the rejection of traditional religious and societal norms challenged conventional beliefs. Crowley's association with the text and his notorious reputation as the wickedest man in the world further fueled public outrage and misunderstanding. The book's emphasis on personal freedom and self-discovery, while liberating to some, was seen by others as an endorsement of selfishness and hedonism. The Grand Grimoire. The Grand Grimoire, also known as Le Dragon Rouge, the Red Dragon, is one of the most infamous and enigmatic grimoires in the history of occult literature. Its origins are somewhat murky, with the book believed to have been written sometime in the 17th or 18th century. The exact author is unknown, adding to its mystique, but it is often attributed to someone operating under the pseudonym Antonio Venetiana del Rabina. The Grand Grimoire is notable for its explicit instructions on summoning and making pacts with demonic entities, particularly the devil or one of his chief demons. The book is divided into two main parts. The first part contains the Grand Grimoire itself, which details various spells, rituals, and invocations, while the second part, sometimes called the Sanctum Regnum or True Clavicles of Solomon, offers more in-depth procedures for calling upon demonic forces. At its core, the Grand Grimoire preaches the idea of harnessing demonic power to achieve one's desires, whether they be wealth, power, or knowledge. The Grimoire provides specific rituals for summoning demons, creating magical tools, and conducting rituals to bind these entities to the will of the practitioner. The most infamous aspect of the book is the detailed process for making a pact with a demon, promising one's soul in exchange for temporal gains. The Grand Grimoire has been condemned and suppressed by religious authorities due to its overt promotion of demonic pacts and black magic. Its reputation for being a manual of dark arts has led to its association with witchcraft and Satanism. Throughout history, possession or use of the book could result in severe punishment, including accusations of heresy or witchcraft. Despite, or perhaps because of, its dark reputation, the Grand Grimoire has had a lasting impact on occult traditions. It is often cited in modern discussions of demonology and black magic, influencing contemporary occultists and magicians who explore the darker aspects of magical practice. The book's themes of power through demonic assistance have resonated in popular culture, inspiring numerous stories, films, and other media about deals with the devil. The Grand Grimoire is considered a rare and valuable text. Original copies are exceedingly scarce, and according to rumors, it's being kept hidden in the Vatican. Jesus the Magician. Jesus the Magician, Charlatan or Son of God is a book written by Morton Smith, a scholar of ancient history and early Christianity. Published in 1978, the book presents a provocative thesis that Jesus was a magician whose miracles and healing acts were consistent with those of other magicians in antiquity. Smith meticulously compares the miracles attributed to Jesus with those performed by other known magicians and wonder workers of his time. He highlights similarities in techniques, such as the use of spittle for healing blindness and invoking divine names during exorcisms. Smith argues that Jesus' actions fit within the broader context of magical practices in the ancient world. The book sparked significant controversy, particularly among conservative Christian scholars and believers who viewed it as an affront to their faith. By portraying Jesus as a magician, Smith challenged the traditional understanding of Jesus as the unique Son of God, leading to accusations that he was undermining the theological foundations of Christianity. The book was condemned for challenging traditional Christian beliefs by depicting Jesus as a magician rather than the divine Son of God. The Book of Moses. The Book of Moses, also known as Sefer Moshe or Sefer Moses, is a mystical text often associated with Jewish Kabbalistic traditions. Its origins are somewhat obscure, but it is believed to have been written or compiled between the 14th and 16th centuries, possibly in Europe. The Book of Moses is known for its focus on practical Kabbalah, which includes the use of divine names, angelic invocations, and magical rites. It is said to contain powerful spells and instructions for achieving various supernatural feats, such as protection from harm, healing, and gaining insight into divine mysteries. The text is often linked with the legendary figure of Moses, attributing its knowledge to the biblical prophet's supposed divine revelations. It also said to contain spells like the one Moses used to part the Red Sea. The book's magical content and its use of divine names and invocations led to significant controversy. Religious authorities, particularly within Orthodox Judaism, viewed the text with suspicion and often condemned its use as heretical. The practical Kabbalistic practices it described were seen as potentially dangerous and contrary to the more theologically and philosophically oriented aspects of traditional Kabbalah. The Cloud of Unknowing. This is a spiritual guide written by an anonymous English monk in the late 14th century. This mystical text focuses on contemplative prayer and the direct experience of God, emphasizing the necessity of giving up intellectual reasoning to achieve true spiritual union. The book advocates for a method of prayer that involves placing all thoughts and concepts beneath a cloud of forgetting while focusing on God's presence, which is hidden behind a cloud of unknowing. It encourages readers to seek God through love and humility, rather than through intellectual understanding. The book faced challenges and skepticism, particularly from those who viewed its mystical approach as potentially heretical or at odds with the more dogmatic aspects of medieval Christianity. Its emphasis on personal spiritual experience aligns it with the values of free thinkers, although it is firmly rooted in Christian tradition, and its emphasis on personal experience over established doctrine made it controversial. At various times, its unconventional approach to spirituality led to censorship and banning by religious authorities wary of its mystical content. Picatrix. The Picatrix, also known as Gayat al-Hakim, the goal of the wise, is an influential grimoire on astrological magic. It was originally written in Arabic in the 11th century and later translated into Latin in the 13th century. The book is attributed to an Andalusian mystic and scholar, although the exact authorship remains uncertain. Picatrix is renowned for its detailed instructions on astrological magic, including the creation of talismans, invoking planetary spirits, and conducting rituals to harness the powers of the stars. It also involves spells that can make one transform to any animal form. It draws from a wide range of sources, including Greek, Persian, and Indian texts, making it a comprehensive compilation of magical knowledge. The book faced condemnation from religious authorities due to its overt use of magic, which was often seen as heretical and associated with sorcery. Its circulation was often restricted, and those found in possession of it could face severe penalties, including accusations of witchcraft. Despite historical suppression, Picatrix has had a lasting impact on Western esotericism. It influenced Renaissance magicians and scholars, such as Marsilio Ficino and Cornelius Agrippa, and continues to be studied by modern occultists. The Gospel of Thomas. This is a non-canonical text that consists of 114 sayings attributed to Jesus. It is part of the Nag Hammadi Library, a collection of early Christian and Gnostic texts discovered in Egypt in 1945. Unlike the 4 canonical Gospels in the New Testament, the Gospel of Thomas does not follow a narrative format but is instead a collection of sayings, many of which are presented as direct quotes from Jesus. The Gospel of Thomas focuses on the secret teachings of Jesus and emphasizes direct, personal spiritual knowledge over the institutional or doctrinal beliefs emphasized by the early church. Key themes include inner light and knowledge. Many sayings highlight the importance of seeking divine knowledge within oneself. For instance, saying 3 states, "The kingdom of God is inside you and all around you." The sayings suggest that understanding Jesus' true message requires a deeper, spiritual insight beyond the literal interpretation of his words. One notable saying include, "His disciples said to him, 'When will the kingdom come?' It will not come by waiting for it. It will not be a matter of saying here it is, or there it is rather. The kingdom of the Father is spread out upon the earth, and people do not see it." The Gospel of Thomas is basically a collection of Jesus' sayings that emphasize introspection, personal spiritual enlightenment, and the discovery of divine truth within oneself. It lacks the narrative structure of the canonical Gospels. Its association with Gnosticism, a movement considered heretical by early church leaders, has led to its exclusion from the New Testament canon. The Book of Shadows. This is a key text in the Wiccan religion, originally compiled by Gerald Gardner, who is often credited with founding modern Wicca in the mid-20th century. The Book of Shadows is a compendium of rituals, spells, invocations, and guidelines for practicing Wicca. Its contents can vary, as it is often personalized by individual practitioners. It involves detailed instructions for performing various Wiccan ceremonies and rites, such as seasonal festivals and Esbat's full moon celebrations, recipes and procedures for casting spells, from love spells to healing spells, prayers and calls to deities, confirmation on the magical properties of herbs, stones, colors, and other natural elements. The book bears the principle of the Wiccan Rede, saying, "And it harm none, do what ye will," and other principles guiding ethical behavior and magical practice. It is considered a living document that evolves over time, reflecting the individual practitioner's growth and experiences in their spiritual journey. Many conservative Christian groups view the Book of Shadows as promoting witchcraft and paganism, which they see as contrary to Christian teachings and is regarded as dangerous towards the religion. The Kybalion. This is a book published in 1908 that expounds on Hermetic philosophy, attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, a legendary figure blending Greek and Egyptian mythological wisdom. The book is written by the 3 initiates, whose true identities remain speculative, though many believe William Walker Atkinson, a prominent figure in the New Thought movement, was involved. The Kybalion is organized around 7 Hermetic principles that are said to govern the universe. Principles like the principle of mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and the principle of gender. The Kybalion presents 7 principles as universal laws that govern all aspects of existence. It combines mystical and philosophical elements, suggesting that understanding and applying these principles can lead to spiritual enlightenment and mastery over one's life. The book emphasizes the power of the mind in shaping reality and encourages readers to align with these universal laws to achieve harmony and personal growth. The pantheistic and esoteric nature of Hermetic philosophy conflicts with the monotheistic and doctrinal teachings of many major religions, including Christianity and Islam. Its connections to occultism and esoteric traditions make it controversial, particularly among conservative religious groups that view such teachings as incompatible with their faiths. Gospel of Truth. Likely composed in the mid-2nd century CE, the Gospel of Truth is traditionally attributed to Valentinus an influential Gnostic theologian. The text was discovered among the Nag Hammadi library in Egypt in 1945. The Gospel of Truth is a homily or meditation rather than a narrative gospel, offering a philosophical and theological exploration of Gnostic beliefs. The text begins with an exploration of how ignorance and error, seen as spiritual blindness, came into the world and how they keep humanity separated from the divine fullness, pleroma. Jesus is portrayed as the divine emissary who brings knowledge to dispel ignorance and lead souls back to the divine realm. It emphasizes the importance of inner revelation and self-knowledge as the path to salvation, contrasting this with the external rituals and dogmas of Orthodox Christianity. The text implicitly critiques the institutionalized religion and dogmatic beliefs of Orthodox Christianity, advocating for a more mystical and individualistic approach to spirituality. The Gospel of Truth presents a view of Jesus that differs from the Orthodox portrayal, focusing on his role as a revealer of gnosis rather than a savior through crucifixion and resurrection. It challenges the established doctrines and rituals of Orthodox Christianity, emphasizing personal spiritual knowledge over institutional authority. The text was excluded from the New Testament canon and suppressed by Orthodox authorities, surviving through the preservation efforts of Gnostic sects. The Satanic Bible is a central text for the Church of Satan, written by Anton LaVey and first published in 1969. It serves as a foundational work for modern Satanism, outlining its philosophy, rituals, and practices. The Satanic Bible is divided into 4 main sections, each with its own focus: the Book of Satan. This section is a critique of Christianity and other established religions, promoting skepticism and rebellion against traditional moral codes. It emphasizes questioning authority, rejecting guilt and sin as tools of control, and advocating for individual empowerment. The Book of Lucifer. This section contains essays on LaVey's philosophy of Satanism. It covers topics such as indulgence vs. abstinence, vital existence over spiritual pipe dreams, and the importance of rational self-interest and personal responsibility. The Book of Belial. It focuses on rituals and magic within the framework of Satanism. The Book of Leviathan. This contains invocations and rituals, provides instructions for performing various satanic rituals, including those for destruction, compassion, and sex. The Satanic Bible in general encourages individuals to see themselves as their own gods, focusing on personal strength and autonomy. It advocates for the pursuit of pleasure and indulgence, as long as it does not harm others who do not deserve it. The Satanic Bible explicitly rejects the worship of the Christian God and Jesus, promoting Satan as a symbol of opposition to Christian values. The Satanic Bible's explicit rejection of Christian beliefs and its promotion of self-deification and hedonism are seen as fundamentally opposed to Christian teachings, and its association with occult practices and rituals is viewed with suspicion and fear by many religious and conservative groups. Secrets of John. The Apocryphon of John is a Gnostic text where Jesus reveals to John the secrets of the universe's creation and the human condition. It describes the monad, the supreme, unknowable God, from whom emanates a series of divine beings, aeons. One aeon, Sophia, creates the flawed demiurge Yaldabaoth without the monad's consent, leading to the creation of the imperfect material world. Yaldabaoth, ignorant of the higher divine realm, claims to be the sole God and creates humanity. However, a divine spark within humans, imparted by Sophia, represents their true spiritual essence. Salvation, according to this text, is achieved through gnosis, or secret knowledge of one's divine origins and the nature of the world, imparted by Jesus, who descends to guide souls back to the divine realm. This text is obviously dangerous to the Christian faith because this whole story of creation is far from what the Church preaches. The Gospel of Mary. This is an early Christian text discovered in the 19th century, which is part of the Gnostic tradition. It is notable for its portrayal of Mary Magdalene as a prominent disciple of Jesus. The text emphasizes inner spiritual knowledge, and it includes dialogues between Mary and the other disciples. In this Gospel, Mary recounts a conversation she had with the resurrected Jesus, where he imparts esoteric knowledge about the nature of sin, the soul, and the journey towards spiritual enlightenment. It also portrays conflict between Mary and the male disciples, especially Peter, who questions her authority and the revelations she received from Jesus because he was jealous of her relationship with Jesus. The Gospel of Mary highlights themes of spiritual ascension, the transcendence of the soul, and the importance of inner wisdom over external teachings. Unlike other Gospels, it shows the active role of women in the history of Christianity. The early church authorities considered the Gospel of Mary to be heretical because they presented alternative theological views and emphasized personal spiritual experiences over institutional authority. The Nag Hammadi Library. This is a collection of early Christian and Gnostic texts discovered near the town of Nag Hammadi in Upper Egypt in 1945. These texts, written in Coptic, were found in a sealed jar buried in the sands, where they had been hidden for over 1,000 years. The discovery was a significant moment for scholars of early Christianity and Gnosticism, as it shed light on a range of beliefs and practices that were largely suppressed by Orthodox Christianity. The library consists of 13 leather-bound papyrus codices containing 52 treatises, including the famous Gospel of Thomas, Gospel of Philip, and Apocryphon of John. These texts represent a wide variety of theological perspectives, many of which differ sharply from the orthodox teachings that became the foundation of mainstream Christianity. The Gospel of Thomas, for instance, is a collection of 114 sayings attributed to Jesus. Unlike the canonical Gospels, it does not include a narrative of Jesus' life and death, but instead presents his teachings in a manner that emphasizes personal spiritual knowledge, a key theme in Gnostic thought. The Gnostics believed that salvation came through gnosis, or secret knowledge, rather than through faith in the resurrection of Jesus, as taught by Orthodox Christianity. Another notable text is the Gospel of Philip, which offers a unique interpretation of Christian sacraments and the relationship between Jesus and Mary Magdalene. It suggests a more mystical approach to Christianity, emphasizing spiritual union and the idea of divine marriage. The Apocryphon of John provides a Gnostic creation myth, describing a complex cosmology in which the material world is created by a lesser divine being, often referred to as the demiurge. This contrasts sharply with the Orthodox Christian view of a benevolent creator God and reflects the Gnostic belief in the inherent corruption of the material world. The discovery of the Nag Hammadi library has been compared to the Dead Sea Scrolls in terms of its importance for understanding early Christianity. Before this discovery, much of what was known about Gnosticism came from the writings of early church fathers who opposed it. The Nag Hammadi texts, however, allowed scholars to study Gnostic beliefs firsthand, offering a more nuanced view of the diversity within early Christianity. These texts reveal a vibrant and diverse Christian community in the early centuries after Christ, where various interpretations of Jesus' teachings were debated and explored. They also highlight the eventual suppression of Gnostic beliefs as orthodoxy took hold and defined the boundaries of acceptable Christian doctrine. The Emerald Tablets. This is also known as the Emerald Tablet of Hermes Trismegistus, are a cornerstone of Western esotericism and alchemical tradition. These ancient texts are attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, a mythical figure who is often depicted as a fusion of the Greek god Hermes and the Egyptian god Thoth. Hermes Trismegistus is considered the father of alchemy, and the Emerald Tablets are said to contain profound secrets about the nature of reality, the cosmos, and the path to spiritual enlightenment. The most famous of these texts is the Tabula Smaragdina, a cryptic document written in just a few brief sentences. Despite its brevity, it has been interpreted and reinterpreted for centuries by alchemists, mystics, and philosophers who believe it encodes the secret of the Philosopher's Stone, a legendary substance capable of turning base metals into gold and granting immortality. The origins of the Emerald Tablets are steeped in legend. According to one tradition, the text was discovered by Alexander the Great in the tomb of Hermes Trismegistus, buried deep within the earth. Another version claims that the tablet was found in a hidden chamber beneath the Great Pyramid of Giza. Whether these stories hold any historical truth is unclear, but they add to the mystique surrounding the text. The most famous passage from the Emerald Tablet is often translated as, "That which is below is like that which is above, and that which is above is like that which is below, to accomplish the miracle of the one thing." This phrase encapsulates the principle of correspondence, one of the fundamental concepts in Hermeticism, which suggests that the microcosm, the individual, reflects the macrocosm, the universe, and vice versa. This idea has deeply influenced not only alchemy but also astrology, magic, and various mystical traditions. Throughout history, the Emerald Tablets have been translated and commented upon by numerous scholars, including famous figures like Roger Bacon, Isaac Newton, and Carl Jung. Newton, in particular, was fascinated by the text and made his own translation, believing it held the key to understanding the natural world and the divine. The Book of Enoch, also known as 1 Enoch, is an ancient Jewish text that holds a unique place in the history of religious literature. Traditionally attributed to Enoch, the great-grandfather of Noah, this book is considered apocryphal by most mainstream Christian denominations, but is revered as canonical by the Ethiopian Orthodox Church and the Eritrean Orthodox Church. Its content, rich with visions, angelic beings, and cosmic secrets, offers a fascinating glimpse into the religious imagination of the Second Temple period. The Book of Enoch is not a single cohesive work, but a collection of 5 distinct sections, each with its own focus and themes. These sections are the Book of the Watchers. This is perhaps the most famous part of the Book of Enoch, detailing the story of the Watchers, angels who descended from heaven to take human wives. Their offspring, known as the Nephilim, were giants who wreaked havoc on the earth. The Watchers also taught humanity forbidden knowledge, including the arts of metalworking, cosmetics, and magic. Providing a more detailed explanation for the flood, that would later come to cleanse the earth. The Book of Parables. This section contains apocalyptic visions and prophecies. It introduces the figure of the Son of Man, a messianic figure who will bring judgment upon the wicked and establish a kingdom of righteousness. This concept of the Son of Man would later influence early Christian thought, particularly in the New Testament. The Astronomical Book. This part offers a detailed account of the movements of the heavenly bodies, explaining the natural world in terms of a divinely ordered cosmos. It includes descriptions of the solar and lunar cycles, the stars and the seasons, often with a mystical or symbolic interpretation. This section reflects the deep interest in cosmology and the workings of the universe that was prevalent among Jewish scholars of the time. The Book of Dream Visions. Here, Enoch recounts a series of symbolic dreams that represent the history of the world from the creation to the final judgment. These visions often use allegorical imagery, such as animals representing different nations and peoples. The Epistle of Enoch. This final section is a letter attributed to Enoch, containing admonitions, blessings, and a recounting of Enoch's journeys to the heavens. It emphasizes the importance of righteousness and the coming judgment, reinforcing the themes of divine justice and the fate of the wicked. The Book of Enoch is notable for its depiction of the angelic realm and its influence on later Jewish and Christian thought. The idea of fallen angels, the concept of a final judgment, and the detailed descriptions of the afterlife all found their way into various religious traditions, shaping beliefs about the spiritual world and the destiny of humanity. The Upanishads. These are ancient Indian texts that form the philosophical core of Hinduism, offering profound insights into the nature of reality, the self, and the ultimate truth. These texts, composed between 800 BCE and 500 BCE, are considered the culmination of the Vedic tradition, moving beyond ritualistic practices to explore deep spiritual concepts. The word Upanishad means sitting down near, referring to the intimate setting in which these teachings were traditionally imparted, with students gathering closely around a teacher to learn about the mysteries of existence. Unlike the earlier Vedas, which focused on rituals and hymns to the gods, the Upanishads delve into metaphysical questions, seeking to understand the underlying principles of the universe. At the heart of the Upanishads is the concept of Brahman, the ultimate, unchanging reality that pervades everything. Brahman is beyond description, beyond form, and is the source of all that exists. The Upanishads also introduce the idea of Atman, the inner self or soul, which is ultimately identical to Brahman. This realization that Atman and Brahman are one is the essence of enlightenment and liberation moksha, freeing the individual from the cycle of birth and rebirth. The teachings of the Upanishads are presented in the form of dialogues, stories, and parables, often between a teacher and a student. These discussions cover a wide range of topics, from the nature of consciousness and the process of meditation to the ethics of living a virtuous life. One of the most famous teachings is the Mahavakya, or Great Saying, which says, Tavam Atsi, meaning, you are that, encapsulating the idea that the self is not separate from the ultimate reality. The Upanishads laid the foundation for later Hindu philosophies, including Vedanta, which elaborated on the ideas of non-duality Advaita, and have influenced a wide range of spiritual traditions around the world. The Tao Te Ching. This is the foundational text of Taoism, attributed to the ancient Chinese sage Laozi, written around the 6th century BCE. This brief but profound book has had a lasting influence on Chinese philosophy, religion, and culture, as well as on spiritual traditions worldwide. The title Tao Te Ching can be translated as the classic of the way, and its virtue, the text, consists of 81 short chapters, each offering reflections on the nature of the Tao, which is often translated as the way. The Tao is the fundamental principle underlying the universe, described as the source of all existence, yet it is beyond definition or comprehension. It is both the origin of everything and the guiding force that flows through all life. The Tao Te Ching emphasizes living in harmony with the Tao, advocating for simplicity, humility, and non-action, which is not inaction but rather an effortless alignment with the natural flow of life. Laozi teaches that by embracing the Tao, one can find balance and peace, avoiding the struggles that come from forcing one's will upon the world. The text is filled with paradoxes and poetic language, inviting readers to contemplate its meaning deeply. For instance, it suggests that strength lies in flexibility, that the soft can overcome the hard, and that the wise person knows when to let go rather than control. These teachings challenge conventional thinking, encouraging a deeper understanding of the natural order and one's place within it. The Zohar, often referred to as the Book of Splendor, is the foundational text of Kabbalah, the mystical and esoteric tradition within Judaism. It is a complex and richly symbolic work, composed of mystical commentary on the Torah, the 5 books of Moses. The Zohar is attributed to the 2nd century Jewish sage Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, but it was compiled and published much later, in the late 13th century, by the Spanish Jewish mystic Moses de Leon. The Zohar is written in Aramaic, the language spoken in the time of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai, though its style and content suggest that it was a product of medieval Spain rather than the ancient Middle East. The Zohar consists of a series of mystical discourses and dialogues. These are presented as teachings of Rabbi Shimon bar Yochai and his disciples, who wander through the Galilean countryside, engaging in deep spiritual discussions about the nature of God, the cosmos, and the soul. The text is interwoven with biblical commentary, mystical interpretations, and allegorical stories, all aimed at revealing the hidden divine truths encoded in the Torah. At the heart of the Zohar is the concept of the Sephirot, 10 emanations or attributes through which God interacts with the world. These Sephirot represent different aspects of the divine, such as wisdom, understanding, mercy, and justice, and are depicted as a dynamic and interconnected system. The Zohar emphasizes that the Torah is not just a legal or historical document, but a living, breathing text filled with layers of hidden meaning that can only be unlocked through Kabbalistic study. The Zohar also delves into the nature of the soul and its journey. It describes the soul's origins in the divine realm, its descent into the material world, and its ultimate goal of returning to its source. The text speaks of reincarnation, the purification of the soul through multiple lifetimes, and the role of human actions in influencing the cosmic balance. The Bhagavad Gita, often referred to simply as the Gita, is a 700-verse Hindu scripture that is part of the Indian epic, the Mahabharata. Composed around the 2nd century BCE, it is one of the most important spiritual and philosophical texts in Hinduism and has had a profound influence on spiritual thought worldwide. The Bhagavad Gita is set on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where two families, the Pandavas and the Kauravas, are poised to engage in a great war. The central narrative unfolds as Arjuna, the noble warrior prince of the Pandavas, is overcome with doubt and moral confusion about fighting in the battle. He is paralyzed by the fear of killing his own relatives, teachers, and friends who stand on the opposing side. In this moment of crisis, Arjuna turns to his charioteer, who is revealed to be Lord Krishna, the incarnation of the Supreme God, for guidance. What follows is a profound dialogue between Arjuna and Krishna, in which Krishna imparts spiritual wisdom and guidance. The Gita covers a wide range of topics, including duty, dharma, righteousness, the nature of the self, Atman, the universe, and the ultimate reality, Brahman. Krishna teaches Arjuna about the importance of doing one's duty without attachment to the results, emphasizing the concept of selfless action, karma yoga. He also explains different paths to spiritual liberation, including the paths of devotion, bhakti yoga, knowledge, jnana yoga, and disciplined action. One of the key teachings of the Bhagavad Gita is the idea that the soul is eternal and beyond physical death. Krishna assures Arjuna that those who die in battle, if they have lived righteously, will achieve liberation or a higher state of existence. He also reveals his universal form, demonstrating his divine nature and the ultimate reality that encompasses all creation. The Bhagavad Gita presents a vision of a universe governed by moral laws, where individuals must navigate the complexities of life with wisdom, integrity, and devotion to the divine. The Book of Creation, or Sefer Yetzirah, is one of the earliest and most mysterious texts in Jewish mysticism. Believed to have been composed between the 2nd and 6th centuries EE, it offers a mystical explanation of the creation of the universe, blending divine language with numerology. In the Sefer Yetzirah, creation is described as being shaped by the Hebrew alphabet and the numbers that underpin reality. The text introduces the concept of the Sephirot, 10 fundamental forces or dimensions through which the divine manifests. Alongside these, the 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet are portrayed as the building blocks of the universe, with each letter possessing unique creative power. The book explores how these letters and numbers were combined by God to form the cosmos, including the elements, celestial bodies, and human beings. The Ars Notoria. This is a mystical and magical text that forms part of the broader Lesser Key of Solomon. Unlike other grimoires focused on summoning spirits or performing complex rituals, the Ars Notoria is unique in its focus on achieving divine knowledge, wisdom, and eloquence through prayers, meditation, and the use of sacred words. The book is primarily concerned with the pursuit of divine knowledge, intellectual enlightenment, and spiritual growth. The text promises to bestow upon the practitioner extraordinary memory, eloquence, and understanding of sacred and secular subjects, including theology, philosophy, and the liberal arts. The book is structured around a series of prayers, invocations, and orations that are to be recited at specific times and under specific conditions. These are often accompanied by mystical images, which are visual symbols believed to hold spiritual power. These practices are intended to bring the practitioner into closer communion with divine forces and to open their mind to higher knowledge. A key feature of the Ars Notoria is the use of these notae, or visual symbols. These are often abstract designs that the practitioner is meant to meditate upon while reciting the corresponding prayers. The notae are believed to help unlock the mind's potential and channel divine inspiration. The book has its roots in the medieval Christian tradition, blending elements of mysticism, Neoplatonism, and early Christian magic. It is one of the oldest parts of the Lesser Key of Solomon, with manuscripts dating back to at least the 13th century. It has influenced various esoteric traditions and has been studied by scholars of magic, mysticism, and medieval theology. The Voynich manuscript. This is a mysterious and undeciphered manuscript written in an unknown script and language. It is named after Wilfrid Voynich, a Polish book dealer who acquired it in 1912. The manuscript is filled with illustrations of strange plants, astronomical diagrams, naked female figures, and other bizarre imagery, alongside the indecipherable text. The manuscript is generally divided into several sections based on the illustrations. It has the herbal section that features drawings of plants, many of which do not correspond to known species, accompanied by text that appears to describe them, the astronomical section, which contains circular diagrams, possibly representing the zodiac, along with depictions of stars and celestial phenomena, the biological section that includes images of tiny, naked women interacting with interconnected tubes and pools of liquid, possibly symbolizing some biological or alchemical process. The Voynich manuscript has puzzled scholars, cryptographers, and linguists for centuries. Numerous theories have been proposed about its origins and meaning. Some believe it might be written in an invented language, possibly with a purpose related to magic or alchemy. And there's also a theory that the manuscript is an elaborate hoax, created to deceive or entertain. Radiocarbon dating of the manuscript's vellum suggests it was created in the early 15th century, between 1404 and 1443. The origins remain unknown, but it has passed through various hands over the centuries, including those of alchemists and scholars. The Voynich manuscript is currently housed in the Beinecke Rare Book Manuscript Library at Yale University, where it continues to be a subject of study and fascination. The Codex Gigas. This is also known as the Devil's Bible. It is one of the largest and most mysterious medieval manuscripts in existence. Created in the early 13th century, it is famous for its size, detailed illustrations, and the legendary stories surrounding its creation. The Codex Gigas, measuring approximately 36 inches tall, 20 inches wide, and nearly 9 inches thick, weighs around 165 pounds and is made from vellum, with its pages crafted from the skins of over 160 animals. The manuscript contains 310 leaves. Although some pages have been lost over time, it contains a wide variety of texts, combining religious, historical, and medical knowledge. It contains the entire Vulgate Bible, except for the books of Acts and Revelation, which are placed differently from the typical order. An encyclopedia of knowledge from the early Middle Ages, a history of the Bohemian people. The manuscript also includes medical texts, magical formulas, a calendar, and other works, some of which are unique to this manuscript. The Codex Gigas is perhaps most famous for a full-page illustration of the devil, located opposite a depiction of the heavenly city. This unusual and striking image has contributed to the manuscript's nickname, the Devil's Bible. According to legend, the Codex Gigas was created by a monk who broke his monastic vows and was sentenced to be walled up alive. In a desperate bid to avoid this fate, the monk promised to create a book containing all human knowledge in a single night. Realizing he could not complete such a monumental task, he made a pact with the devil, who helped him finish the manuscript in exchange for his soul. The large illustration of the devil is said to be the monk's homage to his dark helper. The Codex Gigas was likely created in the Benedictine monastery of Bohemia around 1229. It is now housed in the National Library of Sweden in Stockholm. The Book of John Mandeville. This is a medieval travel narrative, purportedly written by an English knight named Sir John Mandeville. The book, first circulated around the mid-14th century, presents a fascinating and imaginative account of the author's supposed travels through Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. The true identity of John Mandeville is uncertain, and modern scholars generally believe that the author likely never traveled to the places described. The book describes Mandeville's supposed journeys through distant lands, including the Holy Land, detailed descriptions of Jerusalem and other biblical sites, mixed with accounts of local customs and religious practices, descriptions of China, India, and other parts of Asia, with fantastical tales of strange creatures, exotic peoples, and mythical lands. The narrative is also filled with stories of wonders such as giant ants that mine gold, people with heads in their chests, and other bizarre phenomena. Despite its dubious authenticity, the book shaped European perceptions of the wider world during the Middle Ages. It contributed to the era's growing curiosity about foreign lands and was even referenced by explorers like Christopher Columbus. The Malleus Maleficarum, often translated as the Hammer of Witches, is one of the most infamous and influential books in the history of witchcraft. Written in 1486 by Heinrich Kramer, a German Catholic clergyman, with possible contributions from Jacob Sprenger, the book served as a comprehensive guide for identifying, prosecuting, and punishing witches. The Malleus Maleficarum was written during a period of heightened fear of witchcraft in Europe. Its primary purpose was to provide a theological and legal framework for the persecution of witches, which the authors argued were a significant threat to Christian society. The book played a key role in shaping the witch hunts that spread across Europe from the late 15th century into the 17th century. The Malleus Maleficarum is divided into three main parts. The part 1 discusses the reality of witchcraft and the existence of witches. It argues that witchcraft is real and that it is a heretical crime, supported by biblical and theological arguments. Part 2, which describes the methods by which witches are believed to operate. This includes detailed descriptions of how witches supposedly make pacts with the devil, cast spells, cause harm, and manipulate natural elements. And the Part 3, which provides a legal guide for prosecuting witches. It outlines procedures for interrogating and torturing suspected witches, collecting evidence, and conducting trials. The book emphasizes the use of torture to extract confessions and advocates for the harshest punishments, including execution. The Malleus Maleficarum became the most authoritative manual on witch hunting during the early modern period. It was widely used by both ecclesiastical and secular authorities to justify and conduct witch trials. The book fueled the widespread fear of witchcraft and contributed to the persecution and execution of tens of thousands of people, mostly women, across Europe. The Heptameron. This is a manual for ceremonial magic, structured around the 7 days of the week. It describes how to summon and control spirits and angels associated with each day, using specific rituals, tools, prayers, and incantations. Each day of the week is associated with a different set of angels and planetary influences. The book provides details on how to summon these beings for different purposes, whether for protection, knowledge, or power. The Heptameron contains precise instructions for performing these rituals, including the creation of magical circles, the use of specific robes, tools like wands and swords, and prayers or conjurations to summon and command the spirits. The book is considered a part of the tradition of medieval and Renaissance grimoires, and has influenced other magical texts. It is related to other works of ceremonial magic, such as the Key of Solomon, and shares the same focus on invoking celestial beings to accomplish specific tasks. The Corpus Hermeticum. This is a collection of texts central to Hermeticism, a religious, philosophical, and esoteric tradition that emerged during the early centuries of the Common Era. These writings are attributed to Hermes Trismegistus. The Corpus Hermeticum consists of 17 treatises, although some versions may include more. These texts are written in the form of dialogues or discourses and cover a wide range of topics, primarily focused on the nature of the divine, the cosmos, the human soul, and the process of spiritual transformation. Central themes include the nature of God. The texts present a monotheistic view of God as the all-encompassing source of the universe, sometimes referred to as the All or the One. The Corpus Hermeticum also explores the creation of the universe, describing it as a divine, ordered, and harmonious structure. It emphasizes the divine origin of the human soul and its ability to reunite with the divine through knowledge, gnosis, and spiritual practices. The Corpus Hermeticum draws from a variety of philosophical traditions, including Platonism, Stoicism, and early Christian thought, but it is most closely aligned with Gnostic and esoteric ideas. It promotes the belief that spiritual knowledge can lead to divine enlightenment and transcendence of the material world. They were largely forgotten in the West until the Renaissance, when they were rediscovered and translated into Latin. This rediscovery played a significant role in the revival of esoteric and philosophical traditions in Europe, influencing thinkers like Marsilio Ficino, Giordano Bruno, and others involved in the Renaissance occult revival. The Corpus Hermeticum forms the core of Hermeticism, which emphasizes the idea that all things are interconnected, and that the knowledge of the divine, the universe, and oneself can lead to spiritual transformation. The Codex Seraphinianus. This is a surreal and imaginative illustrated book created by Italian artist Luigi Serafini, first published in 1981. It is known for its bizarre, dreamlike illustrations and an undecipherable script, making it one of the most enigmatic works of modern art. The book is structured like an encyclopedia, detailing a fictional world filled with strange creatures, plants, machines, and surreal landscapes. The illustrations range from fantastical biology to otherworldly architecture, all presented in a detailed and imaginative style. The text is written in an invented script that has not been deciphered, leading many to believe it might be without specific meaning. This adds to the mysterious allure of the book, leaving readers to focus more on the visual experience. The Codex Seraphinianus explores themes of fantasy, surrealism, and the limits of communication. It creates a sense of wonder and mystery, evoking the feeling of trying to understand something entirely alien. Over the years, the book has gained a cult following for its imaginative artwork and mysterious nature. It is often compared to other puzzling works like the Voynich manuscript and remains a favorite among artists, designers, and those interested in surrealism.